If you're having suicidal thoughts or feelings or feel like you have no hope, please call 988. There, you can talk to someone who not only cares about your story, but cares about you. Please reach out today. Thomas P. Murphy once said, "Minutes are worth more than money. Spend them wisely." At Minutes Wisely, we take that to heart. Our mission is to decrease veteran suicide by providing life-changing experiences for veterans, first responders, and Gold Star families. We believe that we can make a lasting impact by rekindling a sense of purpose and fostering community through sponsored tickets to sporting events. These experiences are not just about the game, they're about the moments that can change lives. A simple sporting event can boost joy and instill a sense of renewed hope and purpose for those who have served. Join us in making a difference, become a moment maker, and empower a veteran with rediscovered hope. Visit minuteswisely.com for more information and to get involved. Together, we can make every moment count.
Good evening. It's been a while since we've done a live show.
I know, right? It's been an age since we did a live show.
Yeah, so we can't screw this one up.
No, we can't. But dude, we always do well. Always.
Yeah. So today we're with Pat Dailey, who is a Tun Tavern expert. We'll get to his story in a second.
And United States Marine. Don't forget that. He's a United States Marine.
Hoorah! Well, I kind of figured he was a Marine if he's trying to rebuild the Tun Tavern. I didn't think it would be Air Force.
My daughter is.
Hopefully, Pat will give us the 411 on the Tun Tavern tonight. But, Fleek, do you have any announcements for everybody?
Other than golf outing, September 11th, proceeds benefit the nonprofit Minutes Wisely, where we send veterans, first responders, and Gold Star family members to sporting events. So if you're interested in golfing and you're in Middle Tennessee, let us know. It's September 11th.
That's good. Yeah, I have to donate to that, and I will. I promise. Online, we're live, and I promise to donate. I swear.
You heard it here first,
heard it right
people.
Here. And a little housekeeping for me as a District 5 commander. We have our flying squadron or school of instruction at the VFW 8422 in Smyrna on Saturday. Hope to see you guys there. It's a lot of stuff that we're going to go over. So if you need any information about that, just give me a call, shoot me an email, whatever.
Right on. That was quick, man.
Yeah.
You usually go for about 15 minutes.
I know. I don't have that much to say because dude, seriously, our guest, when I met him at the national convention, I was like, this is like a 501c3 that I really, really want to get behind. Like, it inspired me. Like, I'm doing the Navy birthday and a Tun Tavern legacy project fundraiser on October 13th, just because of what Pat and Ken talked to me about. So, but I don't want to spoil it. Pat, the show is yours. Introduce yourself, sir.
Okay. My name is Pat Dailey. I served with the 3rd Marine Division for 2 years in support of 9th Marines, and with the wing for 2 years with a Marine Close Air Support Squadron. Most of my career was overseas in Okinawa and Asia. Traveled quite a bit through Japan, Saipan, Guam, Philippines, whatnot. Never got shot at that I'm aware of, so I'm not complaining. But, activities that were on when I was in Grenada happened, but I was on the other side of the world. And Beirut happened. Lost a couple of friends in the Beirut bombing, but other than that, returned to stateside, had a new wife. My wife is from Japan, and got out of the Corps and started life as a civilian. Life went on for about 15 years as a civilian, and then had an opportunity to go with another Marine who used to go to a Marine Corps party here in Philadelphia in a very, sticky floor, hole in the wall bar at the end of a bunch of row homes called Cookies Tavern.
Cookie, yeah, I've been to Cookies.
Yeah, a lot of Marines have. And so I went there. I was not prepared for what I saw. And what I saw is, Cookies had about 11 seats in it, tiny little bar. And there were about 3,000 Marines on a street in Philadelphia drinking beer and eating cake. And I just thought, this is crazy. If all these guys come to Philadelphia for the Marine Corps birthday to a bar they can't even get in, what would they do if Tun Tavern was here? And why isn't it here? So it was just, and that's sort of what started my research and to understand the history of Tun Tavern. And it was like an onion. As you start to peel it and get into it, there's a whole lot more going on with Tun Tavern than certainly the Marines, but even than most people know about. So here we are. I put together, I thought the best way to do this, instead of me trying to run this as a sole proprietor and make money at it, why not do something good with the money this tavern, I think, will spin off and help veterans. So I thought the best way to approach this was to set up a 501c3 nonprofit, call it the Tun Tavern Legacy Foundation. So the idea is, when we rebuild Tun Tavern, and we will, as it operates, all of the operational revenue from Tun Tavern goes to veteran charities, to Masonic charities like Shriners Hospitals, to scholarships sponsored currently by the other organizations that also have a heritage with Tun Tavern.
So are you gonna do like a replica?
We're going to build the tavern and we have the best architecture firm in Philadelphia actually working on this, and that's not an exaggeration. These guys don't do taverns, but they typically do 90-story high rises in Saudi Arabia and entire college campuses. But one of the partners was a personal friend of mine from college, and he just took it under his wing. And so what we're building is the image that all people, certainly Marines, are familiar with, the tavern as it's often pictured. The downside with that is, taverns of that day, there was no such thing as OSHA. There was no such thing as America yet. So, it didn't really matter how big the tavern was. You stuffed as many people in it as you could. So the architect looked at it and said, you're only going to get maybe 82 people in this tavern, tops. And that's not sitting, that's standing. So in the history of Tun Tavern, at one time it was called Peg Mullen's Beefsteak Club. And that was from about the 1740s until the 1770s. And it was well known in Philadelphia as the best place to get a meal, because they would serve, literally beefsteak and oysters, and it was a place where you could pretty much gorge yourself on food, and all the members of the Continental Congress knew of it. They actually wrote about it. The best place to eat in Philadelphia is Peg Mullen's. They took George Washington there when they anointed him to be the leader of the forces against the British. They did their huzzas in what we call Independence Hall now, but they recessed to Tun Tavern, a.k.a. Peg Mullen's Beefsteak Club, and gave him his celebratory dinner. So my point in all this is, behind the tavern that we're rebuilding, we will have another, like a colonial warehouse type place, and that'll be Peg Mullen's Beefsteak Club. And that will financially make this a viable project.
That is awesome.
That is pretty awesome.
And between the two will be a small museum, like an atrium kind of museum. As you enter that, Tun Tavern will be to your right. Peg Mullen's will be to your left. And it's not a Marine Corps museum. We have a really good one of those in Quantico. This will be a museum to the 6 organizations with a heritage at Tun Tavern, and sort of a view of what life was like in colonial Philadelphia. when this tavern was built. And this was one of the first three, maybe the first. They don't really differentiate, but it was one of the first three taverns licensed in Philadelphia in 1686. It opened its doors in 1693. So it was one of the very first taverns in Philadelphia.
That's really cool history, man.
Yeah, and there's, like I say, it's like an onion. There's a lot there.
Now, I was doing some research too. This was even before you came into my life when I met you at the National Convention 2 weeks ago. Because I am a Freemason, as well as a Marine. And I did some research, and I read that it was called the first Masonic meeting for the for the Pennsylvania Masons was in that building. St. John's number 1. I actually read it in some old historical Freemason documents. And is that correct? It was St. John's number 1? Okay.
St. John's Lodge. It was Ben Franklin was its third Grand Master, I believe.
Yes. Good old Benny Franklin.
Yeah, so Ben Franklin was a regular there. I mean, a couple of the other organizations that's with his heritage there, Society of St. Andrew was to help indigent Scotsmen arriving in Philadelphia. And so they would do fundraising dinners. And they actually had Benjamin Franklin's printing office print the menu for their fundraising dinner, and they still have one of the menus. And he attended, and apparently he got pretty hammered. He actually broke some furniture, so they sent him a bill for the furniture, which he did not pay. So they still have the unpaid invoice for the furniture.
No way! That is so cool.
They keep these records in their own archives, but they've promised to give us a copy to display in Tun Tavern.
That is.
Do you have the piece of property yet? Do you know where it's going?
Yes, we couldn't put it where it originally stood. I know precisely where it originally stood. Unfortunately for all of us, that is covered by Interstate 95 as it runs north and south through Philadelphia, right along Philadelphia's waterfront on its way to New York or down to Washington, D.C. So, you unwittingly drive over Tun Tavern every time you use Interstate 95 going south from Pennsylvania, from New York down to D.C. or whatever. So we couldn't put it there. They are presently, what they've done years ago, they put a cap over Interstate 95. So it appeared as though you were going under a tunnel when you use 95. And in reality, what you were doing, you were driving on the bank of the Delaware River where it once stood. The river is now about 400 meters further east. And they dredged and took the land, what they dredged and made, terra firma out of it. So that's all made land, as they call it. So you actually do drive over the street that Tun Tavern stood on. So what we're doing is it's about 200 yards from where it stood. We got the last piece of open property in that old section of Philadelphia, which was quite a chore because there's not, as you can imagine, it's the earliest section of Philadelphia. So there's not a whole lot of land left to develop there. And old cities like Philadelphia, they get pretty particular when you're going to knock down buildings. They kind of frown on you knocking down old buildings to put up something else. So it's a very involved process if you're going to take down a building. And you have to show that it's derelict and falling down, and most of them are not. So it's our good fortune that this was a open, functioning parking lot. The other issue with building in that section of Philadelphia is as soon as the backhoe starts digging, everyone's looking for Ben Franklin's bones or Indian pottery or you name it, because that's where the first settlers lived. It's also our good fortune, and one of the reasons we like this section is because we know what was there before. There was a parking garage there before. They filled it in 1981, I believe, and we actually have bags of the fill that they use to backfill it. And we're not going as deep as the basement of the parking lot, so or parking garage. So we don't expect to find anything, of value when we start digging through this thing. And we're prepared to make it move as fast as we can do it.
Yeah, the email I got from Mr. Collin, one of your board members, he's like, "Yeah, it's going to be a very tight timeline." When's the groundbreaking?
Groundbreaking is what's that date? November 10th. Yeah.
Oh, already?
Yeah.
Our birthday.
There we go. So this November 10th is a groundbreaking. Hopefully next November 10th is the grand opening. And it's likely not going to be completely finished at that time. We don't think we'll have Peg Mullins open, even built at that time. But we're driving to get the tavern built first. It's a question of money. More than anything, it's a question of money. You can make things go faster if you throw money at it, but we don't.
Yep.
Yeah.
This is a very expensive undertaking for a couple of reasons. We're trying to build a restaurant and a tavern and a museum all in the space of, essentially the infield of a baseball field. And it's just, when you stack all that stuff in there and the current regulations for health department and whatnot, it has turned into about a $20 million project. So, and there's no fat in that number. It's in the heart of a union city. So my instructions to the architect is I want it to look 300 years old the day it opens. So it's a lot of repurposed barn wood,
Cool.
a lot of old looking things as best we can do it.
Wow.
What did you do for fundraising to get to this point?
Almost everything we could think of. Each of our board members has contributed at least $10,000 of his own money. Quite a few of us have contributed a lot more than that. It's and it's not all Marines on our board. There's members from each of the 6 organizations in what I call the coalition.
I saw that.
There's representation from each of those, and some of us, represent 2 organizations. I happen to be in 3 of the 6 organizations as a member. So,
what 3 are you?
United States Marines, of course. The Friendly Sons of St. Patrick.
Oh yeah, of course. Duh.
And actually, that was interesting. They didn't know they had a heritage there, because their heritage, their history shows that they began meeting at Mullins Tavern. There's that name, Mullen. The second Marine, his name was Mullen, Peg Mullins Beefsteak Club. It was called Mullins Tavern in the 1770s.
No way.
So there was only one Mullins Tavern, and that was Tun Tavern. And then my grandmother on my father's side is from England. So I have been admitted into the Society of St. George.
Nice.
You have to show your English heritage to get into that. So
I need to do that because my whole family, I mean, they were earls and barons, like 1400s, 1300s. Damn, I didn't even know you could do that. Okay, that's another thing I got to do. Sweet.
So that fundraising is how we started. That got us some seed money. And then from there, we developed a website. We started to purchase merchandise that is unique to this project that we are selling, as some people would say, for exorbitant prices, but it's really a donation to get this thing out of the ground.
That's a damn good
really
polo,
expensive.
man. That's a damn good polo.
I try to get nice polos, but they're not.
It's worth it. Okay.
What's the website?
I sent it to you, Fleek.
The Tun.org.
You should have it.
Oh, I didn't see. I've been ill, man.
I know you. I know. I sent it to all the Navy guys I know. I sent it to, dude, I even, Pat, I even talked about this at my last stated meeting, which was Monday for my Freemasons, and they loved it. They're going to host it. They're going to host my party, which is October 13th, the day before the Navy's birthday. So actually, Pat, I do have a question. So where's the Navy fit in all this?
I was just going to ask that. I didn't know.
That's a good question, and we've tried really carefully to get more than one source when we tie organizations to this. If you look on Wikipedia, they also tie the origins of the Pennsylvania National Guard to this as a militia that Ben Franklin raised. We have exhausted all avenues for that, and we can kind of disprove that. So we have not linked the PA National Guard to this, although that would be nice because that regiment does still exist in the PA National Guard. Yep. They call themselves the Associators. It's an amusing story because Benjamin Franklin, Philadelphia being a Quaker city, he couldn't get city money to raise a militia because Quakers were not interested in raising militias. But Franklin also raised volunteer firefighters, and they were associations. So he called this group the Associators, and he bought cannons instead of fire hoses. And he got around the Quaker laws that way. But the PA National Guard does not have a connection. The Friendly Sons of St. Patrick did, as I said. The Society of St. George was actually founded in Tun Tavern. The Society, or St. Andrew Society, was either founded there or met their first meetings there. The United States Navy was a bit more of a dig, a lot more of a dig. But I have two sources that pretty detailed explanation that John Adams, as the head of the Naval Committee for the Continental Congress, he was tasked with designing a continental navy. And, at first, the whole idea sounded completely preposterous in that time. They were trying to build a navy to fight the largest standing navy in the world. Literally would have them outgunned and at every turn in multiples. But what the British were doing were they're cruising up and down the eastern seaboard of the U.S. And anytime that they found what they thought a settlement would have been sympathetic to the cause of independence, they simply sat off there and shelled it. So they would keep their gunboats there, and they would set these cities ablaze, these towns and really settlements. So they wanted some sort of defense against that. So that was what they were trying to do, is to get some sort of navy with gunboats that could at least scare the British off. So John Adams and this Naval Committee, after session in Congress, would go to a neutral or a friendly tavern, because there were a lot of spies in Philadelphia at the time, and they didn't want them to know about the plans to raise this navy. And where they went was the second floor of Tun Tavern. They rented the second floor room there, and there they wrote the rules for what became the United States Navy. And some of those rules are still in existence.
Hoo-yah!
But they met, I believe.
So the Navy and the Marine Corps were born out of this building?
Well, yeah, for different reasons.
Yeah.
The Navy, part of the writing the rules for the U.S. Navy was, we'll need Marines for these things too. So that was written up in October.
To protect you, Fleek. To protect you. That's what we were there for.
Yeah.
But the Marine connection is a little different, a little more, precise. Yep. So, Adams, they met there in the second floor of Tun Tavern. They got, it was a committee of 6, I believe. And the sessions went on into the wee hours of the morning, but they got it all done. And when it was approved, one of the things was to raise 2 battalions of Marines. They thought they would need it. And so once again, they went back to, they appointed Samuel Nicholas, who
number one, baby.
A well-known gentleman in Philadelphia at the time. Quite a horseman, quite a good shot, apparently, and well-known, well-connected family. And so he was a Freemason, and he in turn turned to his Freemason fraternity brother, Robert Mullen. Thomas was Robert's father. Robert Mullen, and Robert Mullen was the proprietor of Tun Tavern. So these 2 Freemasons, one was the first Marine. He made Robert Mullen the second Marine. And they used Mullen's Tavern because it was right on the river in Philadelphia as a recruiting point for Marines. So there's no official, order telling them to use Tun Tavern to recruit. He was just tasked with raising 2 battalions of Marines. And in fact, we have a record that shows a fairly large contingent of the 1st Battalion of Marines were from Rhode Island. If you wanted to join the Continental Marines, you came to this tavern in Philadelphia. That was the only place to become a Continental Marine. You could join the Continental Navy up and down the coast. You could join the militia or the Army anywhere along the coast. But to be a Continental Marine, you had to come to this tavern in Philadelphia and sign up there. So that's what this boatload of Rhode Islanders did, apparently. So Marines have this irrational pride that we know the date and place we started in a tavern in Philadelphia.
And we're the only one that really, really, really care about our birthday, because none of the other services, they don't really care. Like Army, I don't know, maybe Flag Day.
Yeah.
And the Navy, like I talked to the Navy guys, they're like, yeah, I don't care about my birthday. I don't care about October 14th. I really don't.
Yeah.
That's an excuse to drink beer, I think. But
yeah, it's what a perfect excuse to drink beer on your birthday.
Right. But there's a lot of nonsense on the internet, a lot of conjecture. There's no proof that I've ever seen, and not that I've seen all of it, but I've seen enough to believe there's no proof that they were getting people drunk to sign up as Marines and, in the tavern and, put your X here and all right, you shave your head and you're in the Marine Corps. In fact, my conjecture is just the opposite. Marines were put on ships because the sailors of that day were not always the most upstanding citizens on the planet.
Yep,
and it was a lot of unskilled labor, people running from the law. So they were taking people on and essentially paying them to, and that was unheard of that you would pay someone to sail your ship. But more importantly, piracy was still very much the order of the day. Mm-hmm. And to be a pirate, all you needed was a ship with some guns on it and a lot of intimidation. And here we are, giving a well-armed gunboat to a bunch of sailors with, background checks were not done. And you have essentially 3 officers trying to keep in charge of these, 100 sailors. So they needed Marines as the buffer. So the Marines were the armed guards on these ships that were to keep order, and then act as gunners during the actual battles. So I don't think it's logical that someone would get someone completely blind drunk and hand them a musket and say, get on the boat, you're a Marine now. I think there's probably a little more vetting done of that. Yeah. What could go wrong, right?
What could go wrong?
Hey, do you think they had yellow feet prints back then?
Yellow
I don't think
footprints.
so.
Footprints.
I don't think so.
Footprints.
Yeah.
Yes, footprints.
On the cobblestones. That'd be a clever thing to put on, wouldn't it?
Yeah, that'd be kind of neat, right?
Breaking ankles.
Yeah.
Only at Paris Island. No, we keep it at Paris Island. That's it. Nowhere else. Just Paris Island.
So so that's really the 6 organizations with a history there. Of course, the Freemasons were the second group in there, just behind the Society of St. George. It's considered the first Masonic lodge in North America only because they can prove it. They actually have in the Masonic Temple here in Philadelphia.
Yep.
They have a huge cathedral.
Yep.
I've
seen it.
Most Philadelphians think it's some sort of cathedral because its place is just immense, and it's right across from City Hall. It's in the heart of Philadelphia, and they have a museum, in that place that's really astounding. The history there, George Washington's apron, and all this sort of thing. But they have the minutes books from the first meeting in Tun Tavern, and there it is, for all to see, and the dates scrawled on the top of it, so there's no other Masonic lodge that has anything, any definitive proof of predating the Tun Tavern Lodge.
That's good to know, because that question did come up, because a lot of people were saying Charleston, South Carolina, but I'm like, I don't think so.
I am not a Freemason, but apparently it's like, oh, prove it. What do you got?
Well, yeah, and we're all and Freemasons, we're all about proving stuff. And the written word with them they're pretty good with their minutes. So
yeah, they don't get into a big contest about who's first. They just say that we have the records books. It's not. I don't think it's a bragging thing at all.
No.
a matter of we have the oldest recorded minutes of any Masonic lodge in North America.
It is a very cool building. I visited once. I did like a Freemason tour. I did New York. I did Philly, and I did the one in Virginia. The temple there. Oh my gosh, amazing! Such cool stuff.
Wow.
Wow.
Okay.
Definitely. When you go to Quantico, because I mean that's where you came out of, right, sir?
Right. Yep.
Yeah. I mean, the one in Virginia is amazing. It's awesome.
That's the one that it's all Marines, right? I heard the lodge. Actually, we did speak on the phone, I think, with one of the lodge people down there.
Okay, good.
It's just, coincidence because it's Quantico. All of the members of that particular lodge happen to be Marines.
God, you are just a plethora, of history. Because I was a history major in college, and I studied the Greeks, the Romans, the Mesopotamians, the Egyptians. My American history was not as good as what you just put forth in the past 31 minutes. That was that was intense. That was amazing.
To me, it was. I'm trying to undo some of the nonsense that's out there about Tun Tavern, and even down to the silly details like Wikipedia says it burned down, and that's repeated and repeated and repeated. There's no evidence that it burned down. I believe it was pulled down. And I believe that because we've looked through old newspapers of the day. They have them in the Historical Society here in Philadelphia. And approximately 30 days before the next article that I'll tell you about, there was someone saying that he was selling, I forget, fish oil and wares, whatever, directly across from Tun Tavern. And then a month later, there's a letter to the editor signed by XYZ. So it must have been someone living on Water Street saying, now that with the recent removal of Tun Tavern, can we please, I'll paraphrase, can we please set it back so it's not jutting into Water Street so we don't have to keep walking around it all the time. Apparently the street that was Tun Tavern was on, Tun Tavern was there before the street was there. So essentially they built the road around the tavern and it stuck into I believe the street was about 30 feet wide, and I think Tun Tavern's front porch extended into it about 11 feet. So essentially chopped off about a third of the alley or the street that it was on. And
yeah.
I'm sure it was quite annoying to get around it all the time. But these images you see of Tun Tavern, it's they're drawn from as if there was a vista of vast undeveloped land across the street. That was not the case. It was a very narrow alley. I have photographs of Water Street in the 1850s, and there's actually wagons in the street. It's not from Tun Tavern because it was gone by then, but it's about a block away, half a block away, looking out a second-story window, and it's really tight quarters. It would not be a two-lane street in today's traffic environments. But that was Water Street, or King Street, as it was called in the time of Tun Tally, because you named every street for the King of England.
Right.
Huh. Did you get any federal money, like from the Navy or the Marine Corps?
No, not as of yet. So we're trying to, I get a lot of handshakes and smiles and hugs from people saying, thank you for doing this. This is great you're doing this. And then I realized after about, 30 of those handshakes, because people walk away and say, I can't wait to visit. We're not doing this. Essentially, we've invested all we have to invest personally. I'm not bragging, but I'm well into six figures of my own money into this. And our Masonic chairman is even more than me. So, we are not wealthy people, but what we have done is we've done the groundwork and we've done the heavy lift to create a vehicle that all Marines and Freemasons and others can do to help build this tavern. And I can't be more clear about that. We've set up the nonprofit. We've set up the operating rules for the tavern. We've hired the best architect in the city who we could never afford to do this, whether or not some relationships. We have a general contractor with a Marine Corps connection. We purchased the land, so it's all done. This thing is going to come out of the ground regardless. We're going to raise the money to do it. The question for Marines is, can we do it before November 2025? The Pennsylvania Freemasons want it open by 2030 because that's their 300th birthday, and they want to celebrate it in Tun Tavern where they began.
Wow.
Marines want to get it open by 2025 because that's our 250th birthday.
Yep.
So it's a matter of money, really, at this point. We can accelerate the timetable, but it just takes money.
And you guys want to do, I think I read somewhere you want to do a joint Navy Marine Corps birthday that same year, correct?
Yeah, there's a group in Philadelphia called the 250 Homecoming. It's also a nonprofit.
Oh, yeah.
It's trying to bring it is bringing the official Navy celebration and the official Marine Corps celebration of their 250th birthdays to Philadelphia, where both of those organizations began, particularly the Marine Corps, but the Navy, the Continental Congress was meeting in Independence Hall there. So they are planning a whole bunch of things. They're actually bringing, I think it's 5 or 6 Navy ships up the Delaware to dock right along, close to where Tun Tavern will be, actually. I think there's a amphibious assault ship is one of them. I'm not sure which one. But so there's a lot of hardware coming up. Blue Angels are supposed to do a flyover. Marine Aviation is involved in it. We're trying to get an Eagles game because, that weekend is the perfect storm. It's essentially a 4-day weekend. November 10th is a Sunday. So, right?
Yeah, it is. No,
Sunday.
It's a Sunday.
So you have, Friday travel day, Saturday, Sunday, Monday is Veterans Day. So,
do you have it set up so you get your money, so you can get your money back once this thing starts making money?
Oh yes, yeah, very much so. It's so the idea is, once it's built, and I can't stress this enough. Once it's built, the fundraising stops. It's now it becomes essentially a cash cow for veteran organizations. So as it starts to get on its feet there and produce revenue by selling beer and food and whatever else we sell at Tun Tavern, all the profit from those revenue centers get donated back to charities. And the board of the Tun Tavern Legacy Foundation is independent of the operations. They will decide where the money goes. But we're not starting any foundations. We're essentially funding foundations that are already out there doing good work as it is right now.
That's great. That's fantastic. I'm a Shriner too, so that's awesome.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
That is, because you have to be a Mason to be a Shriner. So
right.
Just letting you guys know that out there.
So it's and this is perpetual. There is no end to this. It's in our bylaws. This is not going to disappear in 10 years. As long as this tavern operates, which we expect will be a very long time, because I read that they're going to keep making Marines somewhere. So I expect Marines will keep coming here. And, you have a chance to really visit a piece of Marine Corps history, but it won't be a Marine bar. It's a tavern that, once again, it focuses on the history of colonial Philadelphia and the 6 organizations with a heritage there. So Marines will absolutely feel at home. So will Freemasons. So will St. Andrews, St. Patrick, St. George, and the Navy. They'll all feel as though they have come home. But, Marines feel a little bit jilted, I think, because the Navy has Annapolis, Army has West Point. We don't have anything. So this will be home for Marines. And I suspect a lot of Army Navy games are played here in Philadelphia. I suspect this will probably be the pregame interviews.
How awesome would that be, man? Go to the game and then go there afterwards. Oh my Lord.
Yeah. So the location for this, as I mentioned, is the oldest section of Philadelphia. It's in the heart of what they call America's historic square mile. The Liberty Bell is around the corner. Independence Hall is around the corner. The Museum of the American Revolution is literally around the corner. Everything is right there within walking distance. You don't need a car when you're here. So it's Yes, sir.
road trip.
I have a question.
Yep.
That, can I fly up to the groundbreaking? I want to see that. I really do. I
Sure.
really do.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the groundbreaking. I'm glad you brought that up, actually, because the groundbreaking is also a fundraising
Okay, good. Okay.
for us. On November 9th, which is a Friday, there's a black tie event at the
Ooh.
Masonic Grand Temple. Yeah.
I got my tux, man. I'm ready to go.
You need it. Yeah, so we're trying to get some star power to show up there, but it'll be a invitation only where you can buy tickets.
Okay.
But a black tie fundraiser, and then the following day there will be a block party, and we're going to shut down at least 3 blocks of 2nd Street, which is where Tun Tavern will be located. So you asked earlier, and I didn't answer your question. The actual address will be 25 South 2nd Street in Philadelphia. It's within the first block off Market Street, which is the major east-west street in Philadelphia. So we're shutting down, it's one of these old colonial streets, so it's not a 4-lane vista. It's, 2 lanes of cars at best, but we're going to shut down 3 blocks of it and put up a stage. And the current plan is to break ground and have Marines offer them the chance for a small contribution to grab an e-tool and help us dig the foundation for Tun Tavern.
I'll bring my own. I'll bring it. I have my own.
We'll have some gold painted ones or something, but they'll be
really
e-tools.
okay.
No,
Cool.
not shovels, real e-tools. We thought that'd
Man,
be appropriate.
I haven't had an e-tool in 18
Yeah.
years. So
And we know you're not going to dig a 2-by. You'll get 2 or 3 strokes, and then you get out of the hole, and then someone else have a chance at it. But you'll get some dirt, and you'll get a little certificate that says you helped dig the foundation for Tun Tavern, and a little piece of souvenir to brag with.
Now, I did go online and I bought a little certificate for I think $50.
Oh, right. Okay.
But I would love for you to talk more about the donations, like what you get for say $2,500, or
Okay. Yeah.
would you go into that, or do you think that's
Sure.
too much?
No, if I have time, sure.
Okay, yeah, you have plenty of time.
Okay.
You're good.
Well, donations, we tried to brainstorm, all of us, and I brought up the idea of, excuse me, in the naval tradition, plank owners were the first crew of a ship, or in the case of Marines, the first guys assigned to a new unit. They get the bragging rights of being a plank owner. So why not be an actual plank owner of Tun Tavern? So for $10,000 or more, you can join an exclusive group of people called plank owners. You'll get a certificate framed that looks a lot like the certificates you get when you cross the prime meridian or the equator in a ship.
Showback ceremony.
Yeah, something like that. So it'll be,
and him. He's a shellback. I'm a shellback.
So the wording is talking about Tun Tavern, of course. And it's kind of tongue-in-cheek, amusing. It's got a lot of hidden terms in there that mean something to Freemasons and St. Andrews and Marines and whatnot. But it's quite amusing to see people read it and they chuckle at it. So you'll also get a very exclusive shirt, which if you wear it, identifies you as a plank owner. Your name will be on a plaque in the tavern, and it's permanent, listing the plank owners. And right now we're arranging for some, let's just call it special accommodation, special services when plank owners visit when they have reservations, complimentary bottle of wine, other service like that. So plank owner is the VIP in all this. And we intend to treat him as the VIP as long as he keeps coming.
Is there a cutoff to be a plank owner?
Yeah, when we get it built. After that, all the planks are in. So
yeah.
The other points, we have a tankard, a copper tankard, 32 ounces. I'll say it again, 32 ounces. It's a beast. It's
it's like this big.
Yeah, but that's not 32.
This is from Mission
That's from-
Barbecue. This is
Yeah.
probably about 30.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah. So anyway, it's based on a tankard that was actually used in Pennsylvania in the 1730s. The lady that's making them did the research on it, and I've seen tankards from that era, and it does very much look like something you'd see in colonial Pennsylvania. It's entirely made of copper. It's handmade by a coppersmith in Wisconsin. She hand hammers each one on really tools from the late 1700s, early 1800s. I think it's about 200 hours for each mug, 400 hammer strokes or something like that. So she did give us one. I have mine, and they hand stamp your name into on the tankard itself. For Marines, they will hand stamp the Colonial Marine logo. For the Navy, you'll get a fouled anchor stamped in there. Freemasons get the Masonic symbol stamped in there. So you get 2 lines of text and the image of your organization hand stamped on this thing. Each one is serialized, and it's 32 ounces, and they live permanently, unless you want it at home. Your tanker resides permanently in Tun Tavern in lighted, locked glass cases that line the walls of the tavern. They'll have a small card there identifying, your tankard. And when you come in, that's your tankard, and you drink for free. It's a $2,500 donation, and it is bottomless. By that, we mean you drink for free. You don't spend money for drinking at Tun Tavern. And if you could drink 32 ounces of beer in one sitting,
booyah!
Whew.
Wait, that sounds pretty good, doesn't it?
Yeah, I like it.
And they're selling quite well. We have a smaller tankard, also copper, that will hang from the rafters of Tun Tavern. They're $1,000. So the first tankard I mentioned is $2,500. The $1,000 tankard is also custom made for us. It has a medallion on it indicating one of the 6 organizations with a heritage there. Or if you have no affiliation, but you still want to help, there's the Tun Tavern logo that we have made that will go on those. They will be suspended from the beams of the tavern itself within Tun Tavern. And they have your name engraved on the bottom of each mug and a serial number. So when you come in, and it's held on there by a seal, like a lead seal piece of wire so no one can take it down. And then it'll be retrieved for you. Inside that mug, every time you come in, will be a copy of a Spanish 8 real coin. And the 8 real coin in the time of Tun Tavern was really the currency of choice. And it was the most popular coin in colonial America, more popular than shillings, because it was being minted in Central America, put on these Spanish ships, and sailed back to Spain. And of course, that's why the pirates all hung in the Caribbean, because all these silver coins were making their way back to Spain. But it's an 8 real. They came in 4 reals, and 8 real. It's about the size of a silver dollar. And in fact, it was the actual model that Hamilton used to design the American silver dollar. And it was popular because it was consistently the same weight and the consistency, the same amount of silver in each coin. So interestingly enough, what they would do in colonial America, if they had to make change for that 8 real coin, they would slice it like a pizza. So that's where this saying pieces of 8 comes from. It's the 8 real coin sliced up into 8 sections. And one of those sections, it was just a silver disc to them. And one of them was worth about 25 cents, which would have been, probably what a beer cost. Beer was even less than 25 cents. But so this 8 real coin will be in the bottom of this $1,000 mug that hangs in the rafters. And your first beer is on us every time you come in. And we have another wood bug. It's wood with a stainless steel insert in it. That is sent to your home. That has the logo of each of the 6 organizations with a heritage at Tun Tavern. We have the polo shirts that you spoke of earlier. Each of the 6 organizations, and in fact, even with no affiliation, They have a different color shirt. So the Masonic one is a royal blue shirt with the gold Masonic logo. Marines have a red shirt with a Marine logo in gold on that. The Navy has a navy blue shirt with the anchor logo on that. So each of these, and these are for Sons of the Tun. So they say Sons of the Tun on them, and if you wear that shirt in, you're recognized as one of the early benefactors for this tavern, and probably treated to a free beer, I'm sure, and when they get things rolling. There's T-shirts available. The certificate you mentioned earlier, that's available. You just, with like a certificate certifying you as a Son of the Tun, you get something a little silly again with the semantics of it, but it's amusing to read, and it looks somewhat official. So I think I've covered most of the stuff. And then bricks. The bricks, we're hoping the bricks are one of the better fundraisers. We know how many bricks it's going to take to rebuild Tun Tavern. And so you can get a representation of one of those bricks. And it's a miniaturized brick, and you can have it engraved with 4 lines of text on it. If you're a Marine, you'll have the Eagle Globe and Anchor on your brick. The Navy will have the Navy logo, Freemasons, all that, same thing again. It comes in a box frame and a certificate under it describing you as a Son of the Tun. And it's really quite a nice presentation. It's really magnificently done. It's professionally framed by a local framing house here. And that is sent to your home for you to hang on the wall. You can also purchase a brick in Tun Alley. Tun Tavern stood on the corner of Water Street and Tun Alley. Tun Alley was an alley that William Penn specified had to give Philadelphians access to the Delaware River, because everyone was building along the river. So Penn wanted to make sure the average Philadelphian could get to the river without having to walk through, some building. So we are recreating Tun Alley. It will not go to the river. It's about a half a block from the river, but it'll be paved in bricks, and those bricks can be purchased and etched with the name of either you or someone you would like to honor, or the name of your Masonic Lodge or your VFW chapter or whatever you prefer on that. You get 4 lines of text there, and they are permanently installed in the ground in Tun Alley. There's a very limited amount of those. I think the guesstimate right now is about 600 bricks. So in both cases, we won't sell any more bricks than we can use. In the case of building the tavern, we're not going to keep issuing these frame bricks if the tavern's already built. So that all stops once the tavern is there. And the bricks for Tun Alley stop when every slot is taken. So I think that covers most of the stuff on the website.
Hey, you guys take notes on that, because if not, you're gonna have to rewatch this episode just to get all of it, or go on the Tun Tavern Legacy website, which
thetun.org.
And I've said, hey, listen, if you haven't gotten it from me, I'm sorry. Okay, it'll get to you. I've said it to like 5,000 people already. Yeah. So,
and we call it the Tun because it's easier to say, and in historical records, it was often referred to as the Tun. So we could probably call it Tun Tavern, and people will call it that, I'm sure. But officially, it's the Tun, and we have registered and trademarked that name.
Okay.
It's easier to say. It's shorter to write, and So I can't think what I was going to say, but
no.
Oh, so yeah, I will say, some people say I got on the website and I only see Marine Corps things. It's because there's a page for each of the organizations.
Yep.
So if you're a Freemason, ignore the Marine page and go down to the tab that says Freemasons and click on that, and that'll take you to the Freemason.
Okay.
Yeah, you see the little drop down fleek?
I was looking at the one I'm looking at. It's all Marine Corps.
It's if there is Marine Corps things listed, it's because we don't have an image of the Navy one yet. For example, like I think the only brick we have is a Marine Eagle Globe and Anchor on it, but I'm having new ones made.
I see it. I see the Son of the Tun with the anchor on it now.
Right.
Yeah, that's pretty nice. That's way better than Eagle Globe and Anchor.
Well, wait a minute.
Excuse me? Excuse me? Wait, do you know the history of the EGA, right? Fleek?
Wait, I'm trying to get it.
We took the Navy. We took the anchor from the Navy.
Here we go. Yeah.
We took
Yeah.
the Birdie Bird from the Air
Yeah.
Force.
Yeah.
And the globe is worldwide domination.
Yeah.
Basically.
Okay, we got you.
Hey, you take us where we got to go fight, man.
I'm down.
Sorry, I probably just pissed off a whole lot of
Yeah,
Navy
right.
people with that one.
There goes our sales of Navy
It's
merchandise.
okay. Hey, my dad was a lieutenant commander in the Navy. I love the Navy. Okay, I love it, and I loved my time on ship. I would do it all over again. I'd stay for like 3 years on a ship just because I loved it so much.
Gray and underway. Huh?
You didn't have to do anything when you were underway.
Now, Marine Corps, we don't have to do shit on
Yeah,
on
exactly.
a ship, dude. We don't do nothing.
My ass
Hey,
was working 20 hours
I'm not
a
a
day.
crash rescue guy. I'm a machine gunner. Okay, I will go help the MAs, like no problem. The Master at Arms, sure, no problem. But I'm not a crash rescue guy. I'm not an intel guy. I'm not a crypto guy. I'm not a logistician. I'm not. I'm just pew 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 pew.
Did they teach you how to do like shipboard firefighting or anything?
Yes, they did.
Yeah. All right.
And
I assume so.
dude, we had to go to Virginia. We had to go to Norfolk. They had to like get us in a chassis of a helicopter and dunk us like 3 times.
Yeah.
And we had to, did you have to do that, Pat?
Yeah.
That
Water
shit.
Yeah.
That was, that's when I got respect for the Navy. I was like, shit, hand over hand, get out the hatch.
Yeah.
Wow. That shit was crazy. Sorry. I'm sorry for swearing. I was trying to keep it professional and I just swore. Damn it.
Again.
No, I sent this out actually to everybody. This whole live thing, it's to all my 5,000 friends. They're seeing this like right now. So
I will ask a little bit of
Hey, guys.
patience on some of the swag that we're sending out. There are some things on back order. The wood mugs actually are coming from Ukraine. They're made by a Ukrainian carpenter who's had to move his shop twice because of the Russian shelling. He's now in a better spot in Ukraine, but so all of our wood mugs come handmade from Ukraine.
wow.
The copper mugs are made by hand, so they take time. But the copper tankards are going to be displayed in Tun Tavern, and I think she has about 400 of them done at this point. So
Whoa.
I think we can hold up to 1,200. I believe is what the architect is telling us. The mugs hung from the ceiling. I think we can hang about 1,600. So there's still quite a few of those that are available. But it's excuse me. So I would ask a little bit of patience because we are all volunteer, our organization. So if your T-shirt doesn't get to you in a month or whatever, we're aware of it. We're working on it. We haven't lost it. It's just a matter of supply and demand. And
to the 40 countries and the how many cities are listening to this?
It was 603.
To the 603 cities that are listening to this podcast right now, if you need a pledge sheet for the ton, I have one. Just let me know. I will email it to you. I will Facebook it to you, whatever. I actually have to send in my pledge tomorrow morning, and I'm going to send it directly to you, Pat.
All right. I'll look for it.
Yeah, first thing, it'll be at like 6 o'clock in the morning when you get this, because I am so excited about this project you're doing. Because you're right, we have the museum in Triangle, Virginia, in Quantico, and it's great. And I think I was there in 2007, and my battalion, we took a day off. We were at AP Hill or Fort Pickett. I can't remember. We were doing some training. We took a day off to go to the museum. Well, on the second floor of the building in Quantico is a Tun Tavern. And my battalion, in our amazingness, we actually drank so much in that building, we ruined it for everybody. My CO had to break us all up, get us back on the buses. And he told us, is like, yeah, gents, nice job. You ruined it for everybody. Now we're going back to training. Shame on all of you. And he did. He actually said, shame on all of you, which I've never heard a captain say that to anybody. I was like, holy crap, we must have really messed up. Damn.
Yeah. So, it's, and you made one mistake there. You said, you're building this. I'm not building this. I don't have $20 million.
Sorry, we are building. We are. Yes. Sorry.
I mean,
belay my last, sir.
Yeah, that's truly. We have just made it easier than it has ever been made before, and this has been attempted 5 times in the last 100 years. It succeeded once, and the one time it succeeded was for the 125th birthday of the United States in 1925. Whoa. They built a wood rendition of Tun Tavern. It's pretty good. I have photographs of it. I think it was hollow on the inside because it was used as an art gallery. It was put up in what is really now the Stadium District of Philadelphia. Then it was open fields, and they had the Army bivouac there. The Marine Corps was bivouacked out there. So you could, meet a real Marine or real Army and look at the weapons in the, 1925. And so they had the Tun Tavern, and it was listed as a military art gallery, but the photos I've seen have it tagged as the first Masonic lodge in North America. So there it is again, with the dual heritage. But that didn't last more than a year. They took it down, and the other attempts have failed. I think really because it was just Marines trying to do this and tried to do it. There was no internet, so marketing this kind of thing and fundraising is tough. It's been at least twice in my lifetime that I was not aware of until I started this project, but I do occasionally meet a gray-haired old Marine, and he asks me out, what about the $300 I gave to those other guys that were doing this, 40 years ago? I don't have that money. So, I wish I did, but
I didn't know that.
So that was one of the reasons behind my idea to use all 6 organizations to form a coalition. So all 6 of the organizations with a heritage, we are doing this together. All of these organizations have some skin in this game, and we're all trying to get the tavern built for all 6 of us. Marines are kind of leading the group because there's more Marines on the board than anyone else, but it's truly represented by all 6 organizations, and all 6 are pulling to get this done. But what we have done is, as I mentioned, we established a 501c3, so your contribution is tax deductible, and you get a letter letting you show that to the IRS. It is a nonprofit charity. We've done a couple of years of tax returns, so we're legitimate. We have the architect under contract. The construction manager is under contract, the GC, and all the pieces are there. We just need to fund this now, and that's where we all need to come in and take a piece of this. We did a little calculation when at the VFW conference. Yep. If every Marine gave us $10, we're finished. We're there.
You can pay for it in cash. And that's what and by the way, that calculation and what we talked about, I say that to everybody. I'm like, hey, listen, you give $10. If every Marine gave $10, they could pay for it in cash.
There's a little over 4 million Marines living and breathing today. And that's just Marines. And if every one of them gave us $10, we're there. We can pay for this and get it built. But
come on, Marines, that's one less chewing tobacco a week. One can less. I mean, it's simple math.
But how cool would it be to have a certificate hanging in your office or your over your fireplace or whatever? It says you contributed to Tun Tavern. Yeah. You helped build Tun Tavern.
I want that. I want that in my office. Like, I want to put it like right next to the American flag, right there. That's where I want to put it.
And some people are memorializing their dads. They're giving their dads like a Father's Day gift or a Christmas gift of a brick or a shirt or certificate of something. So it's a great gift that any Marine would want, anyone in the Navy would want, really. Any Freemason would want something. It's not something they'll buy for themselves, maybe. But it's not something that'll get stuffed away in the attic to get dusty.
Yeah. And on that note, I want to push my gala event held at Mount Moriah number 18 in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. It starts at 1700, goes till 2000. I plan to have a Navy speaker because it is the birthday of the Navy. A Marine Tun Tavern representative, which I'm trying to get Ken to be the dual guy. And then the worshipful master of the lodge, Collier Hobson, will be speaking as well. It is a formal event, tuxes or uniforms. And for the ladies, gowns, or if you're a Marine, wear your blues. I'm wearing mine. I'm 208 pounds today. Okay. I'm wearing the long sleeve khaki and the tie with the clip and the blue pants with the red stripe. That's what I'm wearing. I'm not wearing the alpha coat. No, I'm gonna wear the long sleeve, man, because it's gonna be cool. Because
I'm gonna wear my dungarees.
I would, dude, wear your boondockers, man.
You know how uncomfortable those things are.
Is that the one? Are those the ones with the 13 buttons in the front?
Those are not the dungarees. No, that'd be dress blues.
Hey, wear them, man. I would love to see you in your blues, dude. You got to shave that face of yours, those.
Yeah, that ain't happening.
You gotta be representing the Navy, man. You gotta shave that gorgeous beard of yours.
No, it's not gonna happen.
But Pat, you are more than welcome to come.
That sounds great.
I'm going to meet your fellow board member, Colonel Ken Hopper. I've talked to him a lot. He actually was asking me a lot of questions about the square and compass people.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, I can't. Are you asking? And I'm like, yes, I am. I'm like, well, now I can talk to you about it.
Yeah, Marines can't wrap their head around that.
I didn't break any rules to my Freemason brothers. No. But no, we're going to go out to some really great restaurant in Lebanon, halfway between Mount Juliet and here.
There's no good restaurants in Lebanon.
No, hey, no. I found one, man.
No, you did not.
Right on the square, I swear to God.
What's it called?
Hold on. I gotta, hold on.
So I work in Lebanon, man. There ain't crap out there.
Hold on, man. Let's see. Lebanon, restaurants, Tennessee. So I'm going to Town Square Social on 145 Public Square.
It's actually, that place is not bad, actually.
See?
It's the one place I would go to at lunch.
Dude, look at those wings, man. I just want the wings.
Town Square is it's decent.
But hey, why don't you pop on by? It's Tuesday, probably about 12:30. Can you get a lunch break in Lebanon?
Yeah, I can go whenever I want.
Yeah, come over and meet Ken. He's a great guy.
Little trivia about Ken. He has a cousin that you may have heard of. The name is Wayne Gretzky.
Oh, no way.
Yeah. Yep.
Uh-oh, you should have told him that. Now he's going to fanboy all over him.
Wow, he's cousins with Wayne?
He used to take him to hockey games, apparently.
Holy shit balls.
Literally drive him to LA Kings hockey games.
You know, we haven't even had that discussion yet because I played hockey for 16 years, man. Wayne and Bobby Orr, those are like the greats.
Yeah.
Yes?
Yeah.
That was from hockey, from pond hockey in Exeter, New Hampshire, like, I don't know, 35 years ago. Holy crap. Wow, I did not know that. That's so cool.
That is pretty awesome.
Ken was the KC-130 pilot of Fat Albert for the Blue Angels.
Yeah, for the
nice.
Yeah,
and the Blue Angels were just in Smyrna last year.
All right.
And they our VFW, because Fleek is actually the godfather, because he actually he and I and two others helped found this new VFW in Murfreesboro. Actually, we got
a lot of heat for it too.
We call Fleek the Godfather because he was the first commander in 2021 when we founded the VFW. So when you talk about from the ground up, I know what it's like getting from the ground up because we had to do 501c3, 990 incorporated. We had to do all that stuff too, and that that was horrible. I hated
Yeah.
doing that shit.
Yeah.
I hated doing that.
Yeah, the IRS does not take this 501c stuff lightly.
No, they don't. And I do the 990 every January, man, like clockwork. I have to. And the incorporation every October. I have to.
And that's what makes this whole thing a little tricky. You can't sell beer and food and be a nonprofit. The IRS has no sense of humor for that.
Of course, yeah.
So, the operator of the tavern will be a for-profit. He'll pay taxes and whatever else. And he will lease the building from the nonprofit, which will then generate the funds that we are permitted that we will distribute. Yeah. So it's kind of a sure thing. And the rent will be on a percentage basis. So the more money he makes, the more rent he pays, and the bigger the donation bucket is
to other veteran or Masonic organizations.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh man, once that place gets open, man, like 'cause my nonprofit is I send veterans and first responders to sporting events. How cool would it be to go to like an Eagles game or something, man, and then swing by the Tun?
Eagles Pats game.
Yeah.
Go Pats.
Well, I'm not sitting next to you if you're wearing a Pats jersey.
No, not in Philly.
not Philly at all, man.
Bring it.
They take
sports
pretty seriously here.
Hey, I went to they're not that bad. I went to an AA meeting in Philadelphia. Okay. It was great. They weren't that mean.
No, they're not. But
which, by the way, actually our past state commander for Tennessee for the VFW, he was actually he was born in Philadelphia, Brian Walker. And he roots for Alabama, and he lives in Tennessee, which I never understood why he likes Alabama so much, because that's just a terrible team. I'm sorry, Alabama.
Again,
I love you guys.
Alienating our Alabama donors here. Jeez.
And so, hey, listen. Yeah. Hey, actually,
can you mute his mic?
Our state commander just made a bet with the VFW Tennessee versus VFW Alabama. Who can get the most membership? So the loser has to wear the winner's team jersey at a game. So if we win, that means all the Alabama state officers have to wear a Tennessee Volunteer shirt at the home opener of the Alabama and then vice versa for us. So yeah, that's I don't know. I love those guys. One of the guys I served with, he's actually a post commander down in Alabaster, Alabama. Matt Stevens. He was there. Actually, I think he came up to talk to you guys at one point during that week. He did come over there.
Okay.
Well, did Andrew mention to you that we're going to ask you a question at the end of the show?
No.
Am I? Yeah, actually, you know what? No. I'll ask it. Yeah, that's good.
One thing, if I could ask your listeners to keep an eye out for, I don't know if they would have it. A lot of, the place isn't that big, so we will have artifacts that we're not asking for a donation of artifacts. And in fact, we would probably refuse a lot of things because I don't want to be responsible for something that has, a real emotional meaning to somebody, and they'd love for it to be in Tun Tavern, but we just don't have the room for that. But what we have is I've been collecting over the years, original newspapers that have some significance to the Freemasons, the Marines, any of these organizations, or whatever. So we have actually newspapers from the 1700s, the original newspapers from the 1800s, from the New York Times mentioning the Marines of Bella Wood, when it was like the front page news. What I don't have, the Holy Grail to me, is the Sunday edition of the newspapers with the flag raising on Iwo Jima on the front page. I know it exists. Yep. I just can't find an original newspaper with that.
I got a guy.
There's a lot of reprints of it. You can get a reprint. They're easy. But the original paper, we would frame it and display that in Tun Tavern. So
I got a guy from the military order, the Purple Heart, that has that, and he has access to that stuff. I've got to remember who he is because I just saw him at the Purple Heart Honor Society last year when I went to George Washington's headquarters. And
Oh,
I
okay.
actually in Newburgh, New York, and I actually saw the desk he sat at where he created the actual Medal of Merit, August 7th, 1782, which 150 years later became the Purple Heart Medal.
Hmm.
It was so cool. Like we had 50 Purple Heart recipients from each state in New York. It was an all-paid trip. It was awesome. I have his card. It's downstairs. I will go give him a call because he was there.
We're
He's
looking for the
older.
entire front page.
Yeah, he's an older gentleman, and he's kind of hard of hearing. But he was part of that unit, so I'm gonna have to,
And I would even purchase it if it's not
Okay.
too outrageous.
Let me take care of that. I'll give him a call, and I'll
curious.
circle back.
Because I've asked, there are companies that do that for you, and they can't seem to locate even one of these. So,
Okay.
my last choice would be get it reprinted from the Philadelphia Inquirer, because I know they ran it that day. But it'd be nicer to have an original. And unfortunately for us, it's kind of interesting. The newspapers from the 1700s are really quite robust because of the very high linen content of that paper. So they don't rot very easily. The ones from the 1940s crumble in your hand.
Yep.
So if we have one and it hasn't been, maintained or framed or something, it's going to be in pretty sad shape. But our intention is to frame the entire front page of that newspaper and have that displayed in the Tun.
Yeah,
Awesome.
That'd be awesome.
Okay, so I have we ask questions to our listeners.
Okay.
Just so you know, the last 10 guests have picked the same number, so please don't pick that number.
Please
But I'm
don't
not
pick
gonna.
this number,
I'm not
Pat.
gonna. I'm not gonna tell you what the number is, but please just don't pick it.
All right.
Okay, choose a number 1 through 10.
Okay.
And what is your number?
4.
Yes.
All right. Yes.
Finally.
Oh,
Hey, the past 5 interviews we've done, the number 7 has been called out. So that number 7 question has been answered for the past 5 interviews that we've had.
Oh, at least 5.
So number 4, can you tell us about a time when you witnessed extraordinary courage or camaraderie among your comrades?
Yeah, I mean, you see a lot of them in the Marine Corps, even in peacetime, because the training can be quite difficult and hardships. I remember as a young second lieutenant, our 3-day war, as we used to call it, go out in the woods at Quantico, happened to me in January. And it was probably 15 inches of snow on the ground. And of course, we were made to stay awake all night because an ambush was coming, which, of course, the ambush was by the enlisted troops who were back in the barracks sleeping, but we had to stay awake on the wire and make sure they didn't break through. So, and it was just, we had to dig our own foxholes, and you're in there and the snow is coming down and it's maybe 1 degree above zero. It was frigid, but it was just, taking care of each other and making sure, doing whatever you can to stay comfortable and stay awake. And I don't know, I wouldn't, probably not extraordinary, but at 3 a.m. when there's nothing else going on and it's, you're miles from civilization. It's like, wow, glad you guys are here. I'm sure it'll come to me later, but when I was in the fleet, there was plenty of instances where, I led guys that won on an ambush one night out in Okinawa, and we would cross a stream to attack another position, and usually we check the tide tables for the stream, and we'd go at low tide, and somehow we didn't check. I didn't check them, or the guy who was checking them didn't check them, and the first guy crossing the stream disappeared under the water. so somebody grabbed them, pulled them back up again. But that was just quick thinking on their part and averting a disaster. But it just, it's in the dark. It's a moonless night and you're crossing a saltwater inlet or whatever. But it's just, those kind of things that it's, again, we weren't shot at it. So it's just you go where you're told in the Marine Corps and you do what you're told to do. And it was fortunate for us. Nobody was shooting at us at the time. So
That's
but I
awesome.
guess that's the kind of thing I remember.
That's perfect, man. That's great. Good job.
Yeah. Thank you. Thanks for the
That was your saved round for
opportunity.
a lot of people that are watching this show right now.
Well, one
So
of the
thank you,
funnier
Pat.
things, one of the funnier things that happened to me was actually my friend who was killed in Beirut at the end of this 3-day war that I mentioned. We were attacking a fortified position, and once again, it's all the enlisted troops. And it was 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock at night, and they foolishly issued us after 3 days out in the boonies, living on sea rats, the old canned sea rats, not MREs.
Yep.
And they foolishly issued all of us, night flares and flares. And they probably had too many of them. They're trying to get rid of them. So everyone had flares. And this friend of mine, another lieutenant, here we are attacking the position. And he was from New York, from the Bronx. And he starts to shout, "Party!" and fires straight at the position. Here's a 3-star cluster going right at the end. Of course, they didn't stand for that too much, so they started firing back at us. So here we had these rocket clusters being back and forth between second lieutenants and the guys up on the hill. But that was funny. That's one of the things I remember him shouting, "Party!" and firing off 3-star clusters.
Man, you officers are crazy.
Yeah, well.
Yeah, I was gonna say. So even the officers fuck around.
No, big time. Big time.
Hey, I knew some officers that. Oh, you should hear the stories about Malta and how much damage the officers did to civilian shit. I was like, what? Yeah, but no officer got into trouble.
So that's how we know to keep you guys out of trouble. Because
exactly. So you experiment with it, so we don't do it. Got it. That's good.
There's
good
a logic to it. See.
But hey, Pat, thank you so much for coming on live today. This Tun Tavern project is it means a lot to me. When I saw you guys there at the National Convention, I was like, my jaw dropped. I was like, holy shit, it's happening.
Yeah, and people ask me like, what led you to do this? And I just answered the same way every other Marine answered. I got tired of waiting for someone else to do it. So why not? It belongs. Philadelphia owns this. They just don't know it. And it belongs to American history. It should be there.
Yep.
We're told by the Park Service that runs Independence Hall and the Liberty Bell next to, where's the bathrooms, where's Tun Tavern is the second most asked question. So they're getting tired of not having an answer either. Yep. So with your help, we'll give them one next November.
Fleek, you have anything else?
No, man, I'm good, man. Appreciate you coming on there, buddy.
Yeah. Right. Thank you, Pat. Thank you, sir.
No. Thank you for the time.
Hey, just hang on for a second. We don't have to. We're not downloading, right?
No, just hold on a second. Let me hit end stream. All right. Peace out, everyone.
Okay. See you guys.
Thank you.